I'm just hung up on that.
He's home though.
Oh, yes.
Right.
And the rest.
Okay, it's time to get started. This is our Town Maiden Council regular meeting for June 14th. Invocation and pledge allegiance will be led by Mayor Pro Tem Beth Rudisell.
Let us stand. Would bow your heads. Lord, I come to you this evening with a thankful heart. I pray for our country and all the malicious things that are occurring around us. I pray that you'll intervene and find goodness in the hearts of our nation. I thank you for this community and the unity it has. A lot is going on very close to our home, and I pray that your people will prevail in our town and we will remain safe. I pray for our nation's government, that you will guide them to do what is your will and what we know to be just and right. Dear Jesus, give us mercy and provide us with grace. Help to guide us as we make the best decisions for our town. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, you have before you the agenda. If anyone would have anything they want to add or subtract? If not, we need a motion.
I so move.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion is carried unanimous. Approval of the regular meeting minutes for May 10th.
I move that we approve the minutes of the May 10th, 2022 meeting.
Okay, have a motion?
Second.
A second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. That motion is carried unanimous. Citizens' requests and comments. If you would, just state your name and address.
Okay, I'm Patricia Reinhardt, and I stay on 308 West Pine Street. And what I'm here for is a drainage in between my house and Willie Farley house. And when it rains, it come down from
Comes down
West
from that.
Side Baptist Church.
That's right.
And then when it comes, it just brings everything, and it stops up the drain, and it just floods out my backyard. And they've been doing it for a while, but I didn't know I had to come to the meeting and bring it to you. So I talked to Cameron. And I'm wondering if you know if it can be fixed.
Yes.
It's your fault.
Because I done called the town of Maiden. I don't know who I was talking to. I done called about 3 times. Yeah,
Are you gonna stay for the whole meeting?
I
Or
can.
does Cameron have your phone number?
I don't think he has it.
If I can get your phone number, me and Brian will look into that for you.
Okay,
All right?
okay, thank you.
And if you don't wanna stay, if you'll just write your number down and give it to that man right there, we'll
Oh,
get it-
okay.
We'll get it for you.
Okay.
All right?
Thank
The rainwater be coming a long time there.
Good evening, everyone. I just would like to introduce Miss Addie Eichard. She is our new customer service representative. She is a Maiden resident herself and currently a student at Appalachian State studying business and accounting. We are very excited to have her, and she is doing great in her first month, so we are just super excited.
Got to give a speech, Addie. You can't sit down.
Didn't prepare one. Next time.
All right.
Congratulations.
Glad to have you. Is anyone else like to speak? If not, we're gonna move right along. For you, the consent agenda items, which consist of the finance officer's report for the month of May.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the finance officer report from May.
Have a motion,
Second.
a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion's carried unanimous. Going into a public hearing for the budget and CIP.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was gonna find out. Thank you. I've read that thing so many times.
Sorry. Scott, I got one in my office.
It's a head phobia.
I have an extra.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Before you tonight is a budget ordinance 29-2022 in the amount of $23,365,854 for your consideration. Within this operating budget is a general fund allocation of $10.8 million, an electric fund allocation of $9.6 million. Within that is a rate stabilization fund of $1.2 million, and a water and sewer fund allocation of $2.8 million. This budget ordinance maintains our current tax rate of 38 cents per $100, which is the lowest in Catawba and Lincoln County. Within this tax base of $1.9 billion, our estimated collection rate is 99%. There is no increase to electric rates and very minimal increases to the water and sewer rates and fee schedule. All of this has been presented in the budget ordinance, and if you have any questions, Todd or myself will be happy to answer those.
How many years has it been since we raised the taxes? 14 or 15?
I wanna say, I've been here 14 years, we've had two tax decreases. Before that, I think we'd went 2 or 3 years before we had had a tax increase.
Thank you.
And at that time, I think it went from 38 to 40. So if I had to guess, I know it's been at least 15 years, I'd say it's probably 17 or 18.
Thank you. Thank you, Jessica.
I'll make a comment about this budget report that we got. Whoever put it together did a nice job, Anna.
Anna put it.
I knew that was, I knew it was Anna. It's very well put together.
So, while we're in public here, and I will make, this is the first year we're done this, so the budget is a budget ordinance, which is basically law. The CIP is a plan, which when you approve the budget, you approve the CIP, but it's a plan. It can be adjusted depending on how things go year to year. So there's a distinction there. I just wanna make sure council is aware of it. One's a budget ordinance, others a plan that we're gonna try to follow.
So I'm definitely in favor of a CIP, 100%. And I think that we did a really good job on this CIP. As we move forward, I would like to maybe start it a little earlier so we could have a little more involvement to look at it, so that I know we get to hear from the department heads and with regard to their needs, and I know that we get to hear from the manager and we get to hear from our finance group. I would like for us also to be able to have a little more time to echo or voice maybe some of the things that we hear in the community that we might want to see that hadn't been recognized. But I think it's a wonderful document. I think you did a really good job. But going forward, I would like to maybe start that process just a little earlier.
Yeah, we have developed some forms to actually be handed out to council, going forward for the next one.
And the CIP, it is a living document that we can change where needed,
Yes.
or priorities change, those kind of things.
Yes.
You need a motion or anything?
Not in public hearing, no, sir.
Anyone have any questions on the budget or CIP? If not, we're gonna close the public hearing. Go back into a public hearing for West Pine Street speed limit.
My name is Tamika Howe, and I reside at 518 West Pine Street. And I'm basically back here this evening is to do a follow-up to see where everything lies as far as the speed limit goes for West Pine Street. I have been in contact with Maine Police Department, and they have been working. However, I would like to see where we are as a town with this situation. They have been down, however, it continues to happen. I am aware that it's gonna be a task. It's not gonna be a quick fix, but I'd like to see something take place because it's continuing to happen.
Yes, ma'am. So I can explain what we're doing tonight. We're gonna have a public hearing because we gotta follow so many checks according to state law, state regulations. Part of that is we had to do a data assessment. That took a couple months. We've done that. And now we're here for a public hearing. And then later on in the business, the council will actually vote on the speed limit for Pine Street. And then I'm assuming tomorrow or the next day, the signs will go up. So that's the process tonight.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, to make it in the spirit of transparency, I just would tell you that, you know, the laws are out there, and that don't mean that people follow them. I think your comment is spot on. You will still have some issues here and there, around there, regardless of what that speed limit is. People are gonna speed, and it'll be a continuing thing that we'll need to stay abreast of and on top of. But I appreciate you bringing it to us and working with our police chief and the police department. I appreciate all their efforts too.
Thank you, and I'll make sure that I keep everybody abreast of what's going on.
That's good.
And not just a one-time thing, because it's gonna be a journey. It's a journey. And that's anywhere you go, it's gonna be a journey.
That's right.
However, I just worry about my little people, and not just my little people, but people in the neighborhood. And so just wanna see where everything is at. Thank you.
Good job.
Chief, you got anything to say?
I can do, so, of course, maybe a couple other residents too concerning the speed limit sign, or the speed limit problem. We looked into it. I think Tyler Wisnick gave you a proposal to reduce down to 25. We're not arbitrarily just gonna go around changing speed limit signs. We can't do that. We try to take in the whole study and see if we have the merits to back up changing it. With that road there, it's almost mirrors East Pine Street, if you're familiar with that, the curve there, and all the houses that were built in there, so it's a 25. So this kind of mirrors, in my opinion, East Pine Street. It's got the curve. The houses that have been built down there in the last several years weren't there before. So I think 25 is an appropriate speed limit. Of course, that's not the magic one that's gonna fix it. I wish I had that this last couple of weeks, but we don't, so we'll keep on. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak on the West Pine Street speed limit? If not, the public hearing is now closed. Old business, award Parks and Recreation project bid.
So I have an update from our bids that came in on, the opening was Friday, May 27th. We had 3 bids that we opened, and the low bid was from MAK Floor Imaging at $56,550.
So, what we need from now is council to accept the low bidder and move on. This is part of the grant that we got. It did come in a little bit higher than we initially anticipated, but, I don't think there's anything that you're gonna buy at any point that's not gonna be higher now than it was 3 years ago, so.
So before we do that, could you just briefly describe what this is gonna do?
Yeah, so this will increase accessibility. Basically, this was a 2-part. This is the concrete work to basically, if you show up at field 4 right now, you can only get so far in a wheelchair or before the walkway runs out, so this would continue that. And then the same thing on field 3, and then the other aspect not included in this is adding of bleachers.
Thank you.
Also, there's a knee wall included, correct?
Correct. On field 4, there's a retaining wall that this would complete out that job.
What was that number again, Keisha? 56.
56,550.
Now, did you say this was just concrete work or bleachers?
This was just the concrete and the wall part of that.
So no bleachers?
This was the no bleachers, correct?
Okay.
Yes.
And
That
this
will
is
be
part of the
This will be
COVID.
next month, yes.
That's part of the COVID grant, or
Yes.
money we got, right?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay.
So hopefully we will have Wi-Fi and bleachers next month if the stars align. So we're having trouble getting bids and numbers right now.
Understood.
Well, just a word of note for those people that know anything about concrete. That goes to show you what the supply chain is currently in the nation with regard to that price of concrete. It is an extreme increase on cost.
So if council so feels this to award it, this would take an act by council.
I'll make a motion that we approve the bid for MAK 56,500.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Motion's carried unanimous. New business, water plant demo.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Come before you tonight, as you guys know, we decommissioned a water plant several years ago when Maiden got out of the water production business and contracted with the city of Hickory. Since then, I think Maiden has secured the dam at the old water plant. But since then, the building has become unsafe. There's still some treatment basins over there, and obviously it's a safety liability for the town of Maiden. So we would like to proceed with demolition of the old plant, treatment basin, and look at possible reuse for that site for the future. We have contracted with KCI Engineering to create some bid specs. We did do some preliminary work, reached out to a local demolition contractor to give us a budget estimate. That budget estimate came back somewhere around $210,000 for demo there. I talked to Todd. There is $327,000 roughly left in the dam project over there. So, Todd, I think it's our wishes for council to okay to spend that money and continue with the project and send it out to bid.
Yes. So what we're asking is for us for you to okay us going out to bid, to get bids to see what exactly it would cost to demo the property. And then we'd bring it back to council, and council would either approve or disapprove. If we do not demo the property, we're going to have to make some repairs because, like he said, the building has become unsafe over the last few months especially. So that's where we're kind of at in this process. For y'all that may not know, we had a water dam project over there that we had to do. I think we did it in 3 or 4 phases. We set up a budget. The $327,000 is what is remaining out of it. Duke Power has agreed to move some power lines, which has greatly reduced the cost of doing this. So this is kind of why it's coming up now. Before, with us having to move power lines, the cost was going to be much, much higher. So they have abandoned a section of it, and it just, I won't say we got lucky, but it kind of lined up perfectly for this to be a good time for us to look at.
How much property is that on? What's the?
I want to say 9 or 10 acres.
Yeah, just for the plant. I think the total property with the pond and everything, I want to think is close to 30.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Is the pond still actually there?
No.
No.
The pond is drained. Part of the dam project was to to create a bypass around the dam, around the spillway, and to keep the pond drained for safety and liability issues.
Yeah, well, but the creek's still there.
Creek's still
Yeah,
there.
so
Yeah,
the creek's
well,
still there.
Yeah.
If we would have, and Max was here when we did this, if we would have kept the pond, it went from like a $1.3 million project to,
18 million.
it was up there. I mean, it was, I was gonna say 16, but you know, at that point, you're not getting away from too much, because we would have had to go X number of miles up from the dam and X number of miles down from the dam and do stream reconstruction on it. So, it was extremely high to keep the water, so there was really no need for it, so we did what we felt was the best use of the taxpayers and the water sewer funds, and basically made a pass through of it.
So this might not be a smart question, I don't know, but
Hey,
most women probably understand. So after a pond is drained, does that make that usable property? for
that
other than-
property will be basically marshland. So when
Okay,
it
so there's
rains a
no-
lot,
Yeah.
the best way to explain what we have now is a funnel. When it's not raining, there's just a stream that run through, but when we get a heavy rain, that's what it's designed to do, is to slow down the creek so it don't wash away downstream. And basically, we create a holding, for lack of a better word, and it slowly releases downstream. That's basically what we have over there now.
So it stays wet now.
Not now, not this week it will.
It depends on
It
the
was this
weather.
morning.
Now, Brian can attest, when we had those huge rains, I don't even know how long ago it's been, there was water going over spillway.
Yes.
I mean, so it is all in the floodplain. It is a collection area, and it basically protects downstreams, is for the lack of a better term. And we have talked about this dam project forever. I think, I want to say the first plans was done in the 80s or something like that. I mean, it's been a while, so it might have been the early 90s. But so what we basically have is the collection area for when it rains to protect downstream. But getting back to the building is become unsafe, and we need to do something.
Hey, before we take an action on that.
Yep.
Scott, the manager mentioned Duke Power, he meant Duke Energy. But
Okay.
does that have any association to this vote? If it does, I need to recuse myself. If not, I will.
I'm not
No,
completely
they did
familiar
that
with the project,
voluntarily,
but.
No,
it
that's-
just so happened that it worked out.
When they decommissioned that, I think there's three sections of primary there. When they decommissioned it, it allowed us to use dirt that is on the property as part of the demolition in lieu of having to haul it in. So there's where the cost savings came in.
If, next time you ride by there, you'll see up on the hill, like when you go up, you'll see 3 poles. They go nowhere. If they were still live, we would not be able to dig a hole there and bury his stuff, basically.
And that's already all been done.
Yeah, that's all been done.
Yeah, with all due respect, even though it's all been done, and it could have the potential to appear like they did us a favor. So I'm gonna recuse myself from this one just to be safe. I
Can
think
we
that's better for all of us.
We need a motion.
Yes.
You do need a motion.
Need a motion to.
I so move.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
All opposed, say
sorry.
no. Give it you.
So now you just need a motion now to go out to bid, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so I move that we allow Brian and team to go out to bid on the cost for demolition of the water plant demo.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion's carried unanimous.
I move that we bring Councilman Hips back into the meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Danny, you back in.
Thank you.
Alignment Enrollment Program.
I'll take this one. You got a lot of talk. So as you know, as some of you know, we have a system betterment grant through Electric Cities, for $5,000. So me and Brian and Wanda have been trying to figure out a way to retain and recruit young linemen, we have found if you get them younger, they stay longer. So we have asked electric cities if it's a matching grant, if we could use that for lineman enrollment program, if we have anybody in the street department, water department, police, whatever, that wants to go to line school, if we could use that grant for that. And so, Before You Tonight is a program which is to be a 50-50 match up to $10,000 to basically send any of our employees to lineman training school, and after which they must work for the town for 4 years. After 2 years, if they leave, it becomes a prorated amount. And of course, with all things, if that was to happen, the grant would be paid back before the town would be. That's just the way how it works. We have also looked at doing something similar for police with BLET. We haven't got that one as smooth as this one. This right here is pretty much ready to go if council approves it. The program will, if we have someone to take advantage of it, the program will run about 10 weeks. And they will probably go to either Caldwell or Cleveland Community College for lineman training. That's who a lot of public power is partnering with in this area. If council likes this, we will, I don't know if we'll have it next month, but at a future meeting, we will have another program on paper for BLET.
So do they have to be an employee of the town to take advantage of this?
Right now, if someone comes to us and Brian and Wanda wants to hire this person, then we could hire them and send it to them.
Okay, so
But-
you could hire them and then just send them straight to linemen.
But, I mean, we would have to have an opening. It wouldn't be like we would start a new position.
So I would, and Tracy, you might be able to help me on this with regard to BLET stuff, how it works, but I would feel much more secure if I'm gonna invest in an employee, that maybe we get a contract commitment for a year or two or something as a result of that. Is that a crazy thought?
Well,
It's 4 years.
this one has a 4-year,
Okay, all right, good.
I mean, we will come up with, it's just, so we already have, Wanda, help me out here, when we send somebody to school, education reimbursement. We already have that, and it's
Actually, it's $300 per semester, and,
I'm talking about how long do that, I think it's 500, 1,500 tops, but,
oh, okay.
but I think they have to work here 2 years afterwards.
It's 2 years, yeah.
So we have something similar to this already. This is just a little bit more money, but it is paid 50-50 with a grant.
So if we did the BLET, would the 4-year part be there? We don't know.
No, so
Totally different.
there's different rules when it comes to,
Okay.
police and
All right,
stuff.
we'll stay on
That's
this
why I
one.
said, we're gonna do this one first, and we got some irons to work out with police, but we will bring it back as well.
So I have a question. It says any employee that separates employment from the town, the prorated amount. So I'm gonna assume that means if they quit or they're terminated,
Yes.
right? That goes both ways.
Yes.
Okay.
So have we ever had to collect from an employee that left?
We have.
And how did that work out?
It
They
worked out
rose-
fine.
They wrote us a check.
They did?
Yeah.
Good. That's not the case everywhere.
No,
I
it's
mean,
not.
I think it needs to be clear to the employee, if they do choose to leave, they owe this money, but, a
So,
huge
unlike-
percentage of their last paycheck should be held.
So, I get what you're saying, but unlike a private company, this is public funds, and we can put them on debt set-off.
Okay,
So we get our money.
okay. Well,
It's
then
just,
good.
do we do it the easy, everybody
Yeah,
gets along
I
way,
got you.
or do we, when they go to get their taxes, they
They pay it.
don't, they pay
I
it? So,
got you. Okay,
it's a little different than private.
okay, good deal.
We were on the same page.
And most employees leave local government, go to another local government, and
It's,
yeah,
Same thing.
you just gotta pay it.
Yeah.
It follows you if you don't.
okay. All
And
right.
we may not have anybody take advantage of this. It's just, in fact, Dale was like, nobody's ever asked to use that grant money for that, but let me see. And he's like, if this works here, we might use it in other cities as well, so.
You know, just a thought, I mean, like when they have, career day and that type of thing in the high schools to go as a,
Yes.
to present, you know, recruiting and saying, we are willing to, I think that's when you're gonna have to grab people, you know, just as they come out of high school or soon after, and, present your program. that you
So,
have.
and it's also important for council to know, and think about this. So in every other position, lineman included, police, water, me, finance, it don't matter, Wanda, we pay for continuing ed, and they can leave without recourse. I mean, that's just part of it. The only thing that we don't pay for is that initial investment to get them so that they can do the work. This would be that, you know? So, it's not like this would be something totally out of the box that we have never done before, because, I mean, we pay for continuing ed for just about every employee and council. I mean, council goes to conferences too, you know. This right here is just the initial cost to get them in that line of work. And typically, towns have not paid for that in the past for linemen, but we was given the direction, I believe, to try to find something to recruit and maintain, you know, employees. And I think this would be better than, you know, and I mean this, giving a lineman $1,000 if they work each year, I don't think they'll do it, because they can leave tomorrow and double the salary anyway. So, I think building loyalty through young employees, that, I think that'd be our best solution.
And this has been something that other towns that I've seen on listserv have embraced this program as well.
Well, I mean,
We're just the first one to use grant money to pay for half of it.
I think it's a great opportunity, especially for a lot of kids maybe need help with college, can't afford college. I mean, I think, to your point, you gotta promote it at the job fairs and stuff and make sure they know about it.
In the days they're not in class, they'll still be here working. So it's not like we're just letting them go to college, you know, go to school 6
Right.
hours a day or 4 hours a day, 3 days a week, and then they stand at home. I mean, they will be here working.
So, I don't wanna dwell on this, but I have another question. When someone goes to lineman school, like, how do they do their, we use the word clinical in nursing, that's not the right word, but
They have pole yards set up at the colleges.
so they don't ever like partner with towns to do?
Not interns, no.
Okay,
So, or I don't know of any, I should say.
okay.
But just like our pole yard, our training yard we have,
Yeah.
they have the same thing. They
So
just
that's
work
what
on.
they use for their experience?
And then when they come in, I mean, okay, so I can't think, we had an employee that came here straight from college. It was probably a good year before he touched a live wire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It may even been longer than that.
This is the initial program to get them to come to work, to Maiden, to be a lineman. Once they come to Maiden, they'll be enrolled in Electric City's career development program. So that's where they get the training to advance from a C to a B to a A.
And I'm hopeful, but I'm not saying this is the silver bullet either, you know what I mean?
Well, I think
But we gotta
it's-
try something.
It's an effort, I mean, you don't know. Yeah.
And I think we would probably keep this to maybe no more than 1 or 2 at a time. I think we'd probably just try to do 1 at a time if it works. And then, like I said, we would really need to have an opening or have somebody on staff that was wanting to do it. Which I think we may end up having at least 2, maybe more,
They would consider it?
that would be interested in it.
So, you need to make a motion.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I would like to make a motion that we, do trial this lineman enrollment program that Todd presented.
Second.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion's carried unanimous. Ordinance 27-2022, an ordinance to amend the code ordinances, Appendix B, Section 222, speed limit.
This is the ordinance, to lower the speed limit on West Pine Street to 25 mile an hour.
I make a motion for ordinance, number 27-2022.
I have a motion,
Second.
a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carried unanimous. Ordinance 28-2022, ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget in the general fund, community activities.
Before you is an ordinance to bring in $1,000. We were awarded a Community Culture Award. This $1,000 will be used to help pay for the band that will be at the Juneteenth celebration.
I'll make a motion, we approve ordinance 28-2022 to amend the fiscal year budget 21-22.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carried unanimous. Ordinance 31-2022, ordinance authorizing updates to the Maiden Comprehensive Plan.
Evening, Council. Before you tonight is an ordinance to make some minor changes to our Maiden Comprehensive Plan. This also continues our authority to bring in the Council, Western Piedmont Council of Governments to work with us on the comprehensive plan update, which we have our first meeting coming up next week.
So I make a motion that we accept ordinance number 31-2022.
Have a motion?
Second.
A second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion's carried unanimous. Resolution 8-2022, a resolution for the town of Maiden to apply for sidewalk grant funds through the GHMPO Local Administrative Project Program.
I'll take this one. Blake's having a little trouble talking tonight. We want to apply for a grant. It's an 80/20 grant. You have to pay for it all up front, and it's a reimbursement. But it is it's a safer transportation program to basically extend the sidewalk from along Island 4 Road to the end of city limits. It's not a guarantee that we'll get it, but it's a guarantee we won't get it if we don't go after it. So, it's, the estimated cost as of today is 1.7 million, which means the town would pay 350,000 and then get about 1.4 million in grant funds. And this will not be the last you have to approve as we go through these steps.
I like it.
So,
Sounds good.
So I'll make a motion that we accept resolution number 8-2022.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carried unanimous. Resolution 9-2022, a resolution approving disposable of donation of various computer equipment pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 160A-280.
So, on the exhibit A, you will see all this all this old, computer stuff that technically still works, but does not work up to the standards we needed to carry on the business of the town. So legally, we cannot just throw it away, but if you pass this resolution, we can donate it, and I believe we're donating it to Goodwill, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Yes. So,
I thought we used to donate some to the schools.
stuff that was in better working condition than this. How about that?
Gotcha.
Does anyone have any questions? If so, Scott's gonna have to answer them, because that's about the best I can do on that.
I make a motion, we accept resolution number 9-2022.
Have a motion?
Second.
A second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion is carried unanimous. Budget ordinance 2022-2023. Ordinance 29, ordinance to amend for 2022-2023 budget.
I make a motion we approve.
Hold on one
Go
second.
ahead.
Yeah, what are we amending?
It's not an amendment. An ordinance to approve is what it's supposed to say, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's what I thought, okay.
We all missed that.
I still make a motion. Ordinance number 29, 22, or an ordinance to approve the 2022-2023 budget.
A second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion's carried unanimous. Ordinance 30-2022, capital project budget ordinance for the fire department facility construction.
Before you is another ordinance. This is basically to get the ball rolling on our fire department. This is to cover architectural fees as well as site prep, beginning like the very minimal site prep. This ordinance will need to be amended as the project grows and the funds come in for everything else. This is just to get it started.
So it's in the amount of $675,000, which will be taken out of the general fund balance. This is a project budget, so it does not go away at June 30th. It continues until the project is completed.
I make a motion, we accept ordinance 30-2022.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion's carried unanimous.
Did
Can
you
I
want me
say-
to mention this real quick?
Yes,
while I'm
would
up
you
here?
mention that?
Yes. In your agenda packet, you will see there is a copy of a check. This check is reimbursement from an accident on South D Avenue. This is partly why, or mostly why, we contract some of our electric work out. We are able to claim that on the driver's insurance and then are reimbursed for the labor versus us doing the labor ourselves. We have a harder time getting reimbursed for that. So it is just a copy of a check we received for that reimbursement in the amount of $10,504.
We've just been questioned in the past, well, why did you have Lake out there changing that power pole after a car accident? So typically, we put them in the agenda, but last time somebody questioned it. So we just want to make sure council knows, that's the reason why we do that, is because when we did it ourselves in-house, insurance always complain about our rates, which is lower. But if you get a invoice from a legitimate third-party business, because most insurance companies are not used to paying cities to replace power poles, because most cities are not public power cities. So that's what that's about.
Thank you.
And I want to say something. We always joke when we bring a new employee here, it's always a really long meeting. This is 42 minutes, so this is pretty, you're lucky there, Ed.
I move we adjourn.
Can I say this real quick? Friday we will be having, our Juneteenth event, and it's a celebration of everybody becoming one. If you get an opportunity to bring your children out, we'll do the same things we do with our Drive After Fives. Just want to come out and encourage. There will be, Joe Duckworth has put some stuff together as far as history on our Rosenwald schools. So if you know anybody that doesn't know anything about Rosenwald schools, it'd be a very good time to get some information that he has collected throughout the town. Maiden is very fortunate to have a Rosenwald school, as far as so is Catawba, the city of Catawba as well. So we just want to encourage everybody to come out at 6 o'clock.
Who's the band?
It will be, there will be a great band here. Josh Jeter and the crew will be here. There will be food trucks also as well. And then the county library will be bringing out their mobile library. So bring your kids out to read a book or so. You know, so it'll be very educational. I think our fire department and our police department will be here as well, right? So we're good to go then.
And I don't know, is your church gonna be frying fish?
No, but we might be able to pull that plug. I don't know.
And before we adjourn, I did have a note here, and I totally overlooked it. Either at the next month's meeting or the month after, I don't know, Chief can probably tell us, they're applying for the police grant we talked about in the budget hearing. It looks like we're pretty good ways along with that, correct, Chief?
Yes, I thought you got some thought sooner. It's just been rolling along rather quickly. Congressman McHenry, we've been in touch with him. So just, we talked
So that puts us in all schools, is that right?
No, no.
It's a community resource officer, not school officer. In other words, this person will be responsible for interacting with their senior citizen population,
Okay, I got
services,
it.
stuff of that nature.
So just on that same subject, I heard this past week that Catawba County made a motion to put an officer in all schools in Catawba County. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, so we've been discussing with them, I'm just not sure.
Not there yet.
Where it is just yet, but it's being discussed. And again, right now, our agreement with them is they pay a percentage for the high school and the middle school. I'm not sure where we stand with all that just yet, not
All right.
prepared to talk about it yet.
Thank you.
I have one more question too. On a text you sent out this week, our meeting was August 2nd.
Yes.
We moved, I had on my calendar it's the 16th.
I did too. I thought we moved it to the third week.
Well, we may have, I just know it's not,
It's not the second.
It's not the 9th.
well, if it's the 16th, I won't be here because I'm gonna be having surgery.
Okay, well, I don't care.
I will
I
go
just wanna
back,
make sure I'm
it's
right.
on that door out there, we'll go back and look and make sure.
I'm good with the 2nd. I just need to know for sure.
We will have a motion, if it's not the second, if it's okay with everybody, we will have a motion to change it next meeting.
Okay, that's good with me.
Wanda, let's make them know
Anyway, I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna move that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
that. Who
All
seconded
opposed,
that?
say no.
I did, she got it.
Danny.
Motion carried unanimous.
Let's see, what is it called? Let's see.
That's great news, isn't it?